Welcome everybody. Thank you for dropping by. So just scanning through the live chat here before we get started, I see a bit of random conversation, and I guess the chief observation is, when's it starting? When's it starting? I made use of the little countdown feature, and it's actually started on time. Oh my goodness. So I'm still so glad to have you here on what's going to be yet another. This is going to be kind of a sad thing. Again, we don't want to dwell on drama. We don't want to pick on a couple of individuals who've demonstrated that they can't meaningfully contribute or intelligently participate in any online conversations. As we've said, that sort of, you know what, they've gone, they're doing their own thing. They've got their own YouTube channels, and let's let them be happy in their own special way of being happy, which as I noted in a recent fireside chat, or Snowy Walk, whichever video that was, the way that they're happy is just miring in their hatred for everything in the world, rolling like pigs in poop. This is what they consider joy in life, is hating other people, hating other people's freedom of speech, hating other people's freedom to choose things. Just like I say, living in their contempt for life. That's what they see as joy. As we've all agreed, that we need to not sort of dwell too much on them. But some interesting news today, and I will say for some of you this won't be news, so keep in mind whether you believe in a round Earth or a dinner plate shaped circular Earth, you do believe in time zones. So I'm sort of on the west end of what I would be the last to get out of bed, for example. And so I had seen about 2 hours after True Empiricism made the admission that he intentionally and knowingly false flagged Reds Rhetoric, was when I'd seen it. And by then there was I think it was about an hour and a half after True Empiricism made that admission on this thread. Reds Rhetoric had responded to it, and then now some other things are kind of jumping off on that thread. I then said, okay, well, we're going to talk a little bit about this today, a bit of the long history of this is what happens when you get into a scrape with someone who's an idiot and is a malicious, hateful idiot. And you're in this scrape on social media, that even when you say, okay, fine, let's let the idiot go play over there, and you decide to move on, you're still going to suffer consequences. So you still need to have a strategy to live in a world where this sort of thing happens on YouTube, as it does. It seems every few years we get another True Empiricism like fellow who's going to do these kind of things. So we'll discuss that. Just as a, sort of let the audience build a little bit. I'll tell you, I had taken some undergraduate level psychology courses in the late 80s. So that was Cold War era, and the Ruskies were the bad people. And as an example, so this one of the courses I'd taken was in experimental analysis of behavior, EAB, which a lot of you might recognize, like like Pavlovian conditioning, Skinnerian, or what do they call it? I forgot the word for it now. Associative learning. Well, that's all associative learning. What's the Skinnerian one? There's a one that starts with an E that also describes Skinnerian. Let's not drop that get down memory lane thing. One of the professors I had then drew an interesting comparison, and he said that more American servicemen have been killed by soda machines, than had been killed by Russians in the whole history of the Cold War. Yeah, it was behaviorism, radical behaviorism, all that Skinnerian stuff and Pavlovian stuff. More American soldiers have been killed by soda dispensers, soda machines, than had been killed by Russians. Not to say that this guy supported the Russians. It was clearly not the case. Interesting character he was. But he was making a point about something called extinction burst, something you can certainly look up on Wikipedia, because I don't feel the need to educate you on. It's a pretty simple thing that, like, if you have a rat in a cage and you provide a reward for behavior, the rat's not likely going to go over and press that lever. But once you start providing food, a little pellet of food as a consequence for him pressing that lever, then you'll see that the frequency of lever presses goes way up. Obviously, who needs a university professor to tell them that? The interesting thing, though, is that you think, okay, well, then once you turn off that machine so that it no longer delivers food pellets on lever presses, obviously the lever pressing is going to go down. Weirdly, it doesn't. It actually goes up initially and goes up quite wildly. So you picture a rat that goes like tap, scoop, eat, tap, scoop, eat, tap, scoop, eat. When you turn that machine off, it'll go like tap, 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 and they'll just bang away on it. And you can even observe a very emotional reaction. The rat will like start chewing on the bar. It'll run around in circles, then go back and pound on the bar some more on the lever, and it'll get on and start gnawing away on it, chewing at it, and it gets very upset. And that's called an extinction burst, where you get an increase in the behavior, usually with a big emotional component, and then over time, eventually, that behavior will extinguish in absence of reward. And I remember this professor making the point, sort of, lest you think this is something stupid rats do. He made the point that, you know, people are accustomed to going up to a machine, putting in some coins, get your beverage, off you go. Put in your machine, put in your coins, get your beverage, off you go. Everyone's had one of those machines fail, and it's frustrating as hell, right? And you'll bang on the thing, you'll push the buttons, you'll shake it, you'll like open doors and little panels and stuff that you think you normally wouldn't do. And then you get angry about it. And it's actually the case that some people will grab one of those machines and start rocking them. And so those machines, once you get them moving, they're hard to get stopped, and they actually fall over and they kill people. So any modern soda dispensers you see now, you'll always see there's a little sticker on it that has like a little stick man, and then like grabbed onto the machine, and the machine's tipping over towards them, and then a big circle around it with a line through it. The implied message being, you know, please don't rock the machine. You know, there are other ways of dealing with your lost 75 cents or whatever the price of soda was when I was a university undergraduate. This is a problem we're going to continue to see with people who are part, you know, see themselves as part of a profound conversation and start to realize, no, there's no conversation with them. We're still doing our hangouts. We're still talking about a lot of interesting stuff, and we don't need to watch their videos. We don't need to discuss their stuff. We certainly don't need to invite them into hangouts. They contribute nothing. And this reaction they're having now is I guess in a way, with hindsight, it's very easy to say it's something we should have expected. I will let me do a quick plug for one of my favorite episodes of Magic Sandwich Show. If you find Magic Sandwich Show 88, episode 88, which I think was October of 2014, you'll see the famous appearance of G-Man and True Empiricism, and the crazy stuff that happened. I mean, it was just absolutely loony. You know, True Empiricism showing up an hour and a half late for a 2-hour show. Arn and I agreeing, even though we previously said no, we weren't going to stay longer than 2 hours. We ended up sticking around, and True Empiricism actually rage quitting twice. He'd rage quit, and then he rejoined just so he could shout something into the microphone, and then rage quit a second time. The famous True Empiricism claiming that I was wrong in my claim that they don't find human remains below the KT boundary. Just crazy stuff. It's a funny episode. But more interesting than that to me was that the in the days afterwards, and like the next 4 days, I think they had 27 hours of hangouts over the next 4 days. So, you know, these are not guys who can just kind of, you know, show up and be mature in a hangout. That's not going to happen. And that's why people tune in to watch them. But they also can't, they don't have this insight and the wherewithal to, after it happens, go, well, that didn't go the way I'd hoped. And then think about how they're going to regroup and come back and approach it in a better fashion. No. That's not what they're going to do. They can't lick their wounds and move on. They went for hours and hours and hours over days. And that was just sort of in the first 4 days. But the next 3 weeks, they continued having hangouts over and over and over again, where they it was funny because you could also watch over the days as they went on. They would retell the same stories, but they would change the details a little bit. You could actually watch the evolution of their storytelling as it went on. And that's what we've been seeing here, not quite as intense, but that's what we've been seeing here. Now that this stuff has come out, some of the recent drama has come out, and people have just said, okay, you know what, fuck these guys. They're not contributing at all. Off we go. We don't really need to talk about them. We're seeing them now getting into hangouts and talk to each other at length, changing the details, just saying loony, you know, just crazy irrelevant stuff. There's one in particular. Oh, I had sort of made a mental point to look up the title of it before I started this open. So give me a second. Give me like, maybe I'll find it. Blur. Oh, the scam. They're on to us. Yeah. The scam, they're on to us. It's on the, I think it's on the True Talk TV channel. That's probably their best example of them sitting around as a group and retelling this bizarre, fantastic version of how they're so awesome and all the evil others are out there to get them, and just sort of that ranting stuff. But it's worth a listen, because what you do hear, and there's a couple occasions where G-Man talks about some of his strategy for getting past some of the drama and what he wants to do with his channels and how it's not going to include these other people. He sort of, G-Man wants to just go off and do these other things. Now, he still fantasizes about, well, when the cops are going to show up and the judge is going to say, you owe this guy $10 million, Alfred, right? This is all a fantasy in G-Man's head, but it's still in his head. But he also would at least talk about the prospect of going forward and doing some other stuff on his YouTube channels, kind of getting his life in order. But no, True Empiricism will have none of that. You'll hear two occasions that I recall. Again, I have paid attention, kind of skipped through bits of it, but where unsolicited, True Empiricism will say, I really think you got to get something going here. I think you got to get your lawyers. I think you've got to do this. And, he's very much encouraging G-Man to embark on a legal battle. So we'll move on here to the, yeah. Oh, okay. Here, let's do this then. I see Blue whining away there. Okay, bye, Blue. Not Thalo Blue, who's always welcome to say things, but we'll give Blue 10 minutes chance to sit there and complain to himself instead of to me. So let's just for those who, and there's nobody who would tune in to watch one of my rants who couldn't. I can't imagine somebody tuning in and not knowing the general story. So I want to skip the whole general story. People know from my recent hangouts and from watching the nonsense themselves that there is significant friction, to put it in one set of terms, between G-Man and Dragnut Silvis. And then something happens, and then True Empiricism flags Reds Rhetoric. Right? That's just kind of how this nonsense goes sometimes. So just to sort of mention, I really want to focus. I think what's going to end up happening is that some people who, the globe, what do you call them? The globe, what do you call them? Shills, globe shills, all the globe shills from Reds Rhetoric. Some of them are going to want to tune in to see what this evidence was, and so they might not be following the day by day on that whole drama. So I'll just sort of summarize for you the bit that affects Reds Rhetoric. So Reds used to, I mean, I understand he's still friends with Hannah, but I mean, evidently for a time, a couple of years ago, it was actually a romantic relationship. They used to travel to see each other, and Hannah at the time had a good friendship with G-Man, and they would occasionally do social things in New York, often New York City. And there was a what do you call it? A kind of a hangout, what do you call it? A get together that was set up in New York that included people like Dragnut, J.D. Kane, Reds Rhetoric, Red Line. I'm going to call him Red Line sometimes. Hannah, Vincent, and famously Fiona Robertson, who flew from Ireland. I think G-Man says you're from Ireland, Fiona. Is that right? Yes, Vincent Jones. I said Vincent Jones. So you'll see Vincent Jones here in the live chat for people who don't know him. Interesting fellow, and apparently just made a good contribution to this. Had a good time at this get together, although G-Man never remembers his name. And yeah, Fiona, who flew from whatever country she's from, which G-Man can't seem to remember, not deterred or informed by the obvious Scottish brogue. Anyway, so those people apparently had a pretty good time. I hear some beeping. What's that for? Okay, well, there's nothing I can do about that now, lady. What the heck are you texting me for? I get Fiona's Scottish. Fiona's Scottish at Hogtie Champ. Indeed, she is. G-Man unsure of that. He thinks she's from Ireland. Nonetheless, so they had whatever good time, and then afterwards, G-Man accused a whole bunch of people of lying and got all sorts of it just G-Man went all G-Man on people. You know, everybody who isn't a G-Man brand Christian is evil. So all these people lied to him and blah, blah, blah. So that whole thing all kind of blew up in people's faces. Then Hana and Reds had sort of ended their romantic relationship. And at that time, G-Man offered to really destroy Reds Rhetoric. What did he have to? Oh, I'm sorry, Nate Brody, MP, multiple personality, Nate Brody. I'm sorry for neglecting to mention you were there. There's a very interesting. You can go to Max Trivium's channel or not Max Trivium's channel, JD Kane's channel, where you'll see an interesting chess game between Nate Brody and G-Man, and you see what G-Man's like in real life when he's in competition, in a type of competition where there's actually a real winner and a loser, and he gets crushed, and it's hilarious. Anyway, yes, MP, multiple personalities. Nate Brody was there. It's a good time had by all. So G-Man offers unsolicited he's going to crush Reds Rhetoric, and you need to know that this is a big part of where this starts. G-Man doesn't like Reds Rhetoric. He never has, because Reds is, Red's a bit of a potty mouth. I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with that, but whatever, it's not a reason to hate him. But the biggest reason for G-Man that he doesn't like Reds Rhetoric is because Reds Rhetoric always shows up with actual information and actual arguments, and he's able to address silly points by anti-science people. And G-Man doesn't like that, and G-Man would like to see Red's channel closed. So I will, at not too distant future, get to the point about how they want your channels closed. Let me just throw that line out here. So remember that they see victory as being the silencing of their opponents. That's to them what the definition of victory is. If they can still have their YouTube channels and your YouTube channel gets closed, that's a victory for them. At the same time, they think that we all think that. They think that we're trying to get their YouTube channels closed. So G-Man offered to dock drop red lines and to do these other things to get basically make Reds Rhetoric's life miserable. Reds, both quietly and explicitly, had said, look, I'm not dealing with G-Man anymore. Let G-Man do his G-Man stuff. I have other stuff that I'm interested in. You go to Reds Rhetoric and you'll see stuff about cars. You'll see stuff about space things. You'll see great photos with his P900 camera. He's got his own stuff to talk about. He doesn't burn his brain cells talking about G-Man. And at a point, he actually even openly committed to not discussing G-Man. He's just like, look, I'm going to let G-Man be G-Man. I got nothing to do with this stuff. But that doesn't deter G-Man. He still insists that he's got to do something. So every time something comes up, G-Man gets in this scrape with Dragnut, and his response is to say, oh, I'm going to destroy Reds Rhetoric. Right? And this is a thing. I'm leaving out the multiple episodes of this. I just sort of want to illustrate for people who are unfamiliar. There are going to be people who are familiar with Reds Rhetoric but won't be familiar with G-Man, and then the other way around. So I think that's sort of the takeaway without going into every drama incident between the two. The main takeaway message here is, yes, the two have met in person. Yes, the two have had discussions online. But Reds Rhetoric has expressly said, I'm not dealing with G-Man. Let that guy go do whatever, right? So G-Man will not let go. Anytime something bad happens to G-Man, his response is to say, I'm going to destroy Reds Rhetoric. He's going to take down his YouTube channels. He's going to dock drop his information. He's going to share pictures of him. It just like, it just doesn't stop. So again, I don't want to retread all the stuff about G-Man losing his job, except to say that G-Man has been very, very careless with his information. He'll admit this himself, that he's done things to let his information out. G-Man has on several occasions said his own name on his channel. G-Man has even had people come in to play videos of G-Man saying his own name, and he'll actually play that video into his own Hangout. That is, G-Man will ask somebody to get an old G-Man video and to play into his current Hangout, G-Man's current Hangout, G-Man saying G-Man's real name. So G-Man's real name is amply out there. It doesn't need to be repeated. Please don't type it in the live chat. It's not funny. There's no point in doing it. But more relevant is that G-Man also takes his camera outside his workplace, and he's shown everybody where he works, and he's taken it outside at least one of his residences within the last year, more before that. So there's ample information on G-Man's channel that he just gives out this information. Now, what this doesn't stop G-Man from doing is blaming other people. So, for example, when G-Man's workplace was first known, while other people made an effort to suppress that information from the videos that were out, G-Man actually set out to publicly accuse Psychopath Atheist, who I see has joined us in our live chat. And the two of them may have resolved this, or may have been an apology, whatever. But the point is that G-Man shows people his place of employment. Then when he doesn't know how people know what his place of employment, and sorry, G-Man shows people his place of employment. People will write to G-Man and say, hey, you just showed your place of employment. You might want to take that down. Or I'm erasing this video, but please don't do that, because we have to end up editing our videos because you're stupid and you walk out with your camera. And after reading those messages, G-Man then says, oh, it was Psychopath Atheist that told everybody this. This point gets to be relevant because now G-Man's home address is available to people, and he's saying that it was Hannah that did it, and he's going to get back at Hannah by showing her face and by giving out her phone number, and he's just going to get back at a whole bunch of people, and he's going to get back at Reds Rhetoric. Once again, it comes back to he's going to get back at Reds Rhetoric because I don't know, because he can, because G-Man thinks he can hurt Reds Rhetoric, so that's what he's going to do. Then about a week ago, I don't remember the exact date. People remember this, but G-Man actually did make a video. He was very upset with Dragnut. So in response to being upset with Dragnut, G-Man made a video where he gave out Hannah's first and last name, probably both of them mispronounced, and her phone number, and showed photos of her. And there have been consequences. People have been calling Hannah. There's a great hangout a while ago. I wish I remember which channel it was on now, but Hannah came out and actually described what the consequences were like. G-Man seeks to make Hannah's life miserable, and he says the reason he's doing that is because of something Dragnut did. That's his stated explanation, which just doesn't make sense, but it doesn't have to because it's G-Man world. And he also says, well, next, Redline's going to get it, right? So moving closer now to the false flagging, there's a video on, if I were slightly smarter, I would have opened it first. Oh, sorry, I can't show you that. That's why I didn't do it. I remember what I did. Since I've got everything written down here. Show this video. There's Reds Rhetoric had made. Oh, it'll be on the other channel. On his. I'm just going to really quickly while I say this, go to what I'm going to do here. YouTube. Oh, I love this channel name, The Red Shift. That's such a good name. Why didn't I think of that? It's like got the astronomy thing, and it's just whatever. So muted that. Okay. So there's a video which I will briefly screen share here. And now you guys got to brace yourself because I have to do a caveat here because there's one thing I really don't like about this. This is the video that's been going around called G-Man Lies About No Job Plus Needing Donations. And in this video, which I'm screen sharing from the Redshift channel, it was originally done in Hangout format on the Reds Rhetoric channel. Now, I have to say at the outset here, and well, by the way, I had suggested very early on that G-Man should, or that people should mirror this video. This video was flagged for a privacy violation, and I'd said in one of our IM chats, it was Google Plus post, whatever. I said, people should download this thing, and they should Streisand the hell out of this thing. And then I got busy. I intended to do it myself, and I got busy. But here, if I were to share it or mirror it on my channel, I would have included the following. So brace yourself, people. You're going to need a little bit of disclaimer here. I've been repeatedly saying this. I don't think they should have called G-Man's place of work, right? I made a video about this shortly after it happened when I said that, look, I kind of get that some people might say this was a little bit investigative, but I still don't think you should call his place of work. I think there's a very, very high standard when you think, oh yeah, this is a good idea, we're going to call his workplace. Stop that. There's no reason to be doing that. Multiple personality, Nate Brody has a great video on his channel where he talks about this. We don't need to be calling his work. Second, this video and others that mirror it give the implication that, well, it says right in the title, G-Man lies about no job. I don't think my assessment of the evidence, I don't think we have enough evidence to say that G-Man actually lied about not having a job. That is, it is entirely possible that G-Man had a job and then was sent home with the clear implication he was never going to be called back to work again. With the clear understanding, he went home, he had a clear understanding that he did not have that job anymore. He was never going to go back there to work. He was never going to receive pay for working there again. That was his understanding. And then there came to be some circumstances where his boss says, oh, okay, well, you can work here a little bit, you can work there a little bit. And I think that's entirely possible. Now, G-Man may very well be lying about that as well. But my question is, do you have the evidence for that? Do you have the evidence that G-Man was never under the impression that he lost his job and decided, you know what, I'm going to make a video saying that I lost my job, and then people will send me money? I don't think we have that evidence. I think G-Man is often under misapprehensions. He has a bit of a reality assessment deficit, and he makes a lot of mistakes. And I also think that it's quite possible that he was not an on the books employee, and therefore his boss could at whim say, "That's it, get out of here. I never want to see you again." And then a week later, 2 weeks later, come back and say, "Well, okay, you can come back, but I'm cutting your pay to $4 an hour." Right? These are things that can happen. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I just want to make my position clear, because I'm getting tired of true empiricism lying about everybody saying that oh, we all caught G-Man doing this, because I and many other people have been saying I don't think we have the evidence to say that that G-Man lied about losing his job. He's lied about many other things around that. So anyway, I don't think people should be calling his work. I also don't think that people who are saying G-Man lied about not needing a job and then embarked on a fraud, I don't think you have the evidence. That's my opinion on it. You don't have the evidence to be going and saying those things, and I very strenuously object to the false accusations. But here's the thing. That could have been addressed. That point could have been addressed by G-Man through a couple different means. He could have written to Reds or contacted Reds and said, look, can you take that video down? You're accusing me of lying. He could have made his own response video to it, which he did do. He made many videos. They had lots of videos where they accused Redline, or Reds Rhetoric rather, and all these other people, Dragnut, Alfred, all these people of lying. And that's fine. They can do their responses to that. And they can laugh. And you heard Veckel say things like, oh, well, G-Man, they really need to catch you, doing something bad. They really need to feel like that you're doing something bad, which then Veckel adds to hilariously, like, and they've got nothing on you. Like, really? Look, we got lots on G-Man. We've caught him lying so many times. Stick to the lies of G-Man's that you can prove. Stick to the lies of G-Man that you have evidence for, and you can screen share things. Don't accuse him of things of which you're merely suspicious without really rock solid evidence. Okay? So I may go ahead and set up a mirror on that, but I'll have to put that prefacing statement on there too. I don't think people should be calling his work, and I don't think people should be accusing G-Man of a criminal fraud when they don't have the actual evidence to do that. This, by the way, goes hand in hand with my multiple statements from recent weeks saying, I don't think G-Man should be accusing Hannah. I don't think G-Man should be accusing Gus Belanger or Annabelle of being frauds or having committed criminal fraud or being sluts or any of these other things, because G-Man doesn't have evidence for any of that stuff. In fact, when G-Man is shown evidence that he is knowingly lying when he says those things, he just ignores it and he just keeps on repeating the lies. All right, so then we have this post by, let's get that sucker up here now. We're getting up closer to modern times here. I want to go, oh, I know how to do it. I can go notifications. I thought I had it open here. Oh my goodness. Oh, such bad Hangout etiquette. There it is. Okay, so I want to pop this into a separate window. This is the other thing they always talk about. Like when you go to screen share, you don't have to do a whole, you hit the screen share button. Oh, your entire screen? No, I don't want to share my entire screen. I want to share an application window. In this case, I want it to be this application window. So what you're going to see here, this is a post that Reds Rhetoric made upon receiving a notice from YouTube support team. Dear Reds Rhetoric, this is to notify you we've received a privacy complaint from an individual regarding your content. And he says on here, looks like G-Man doesn't want people. So we immediately assume that G-Man was the one who filed this privacy complaint. And that's not a ridiculous assumption, because it would take a tremendous moron or an incredibly malicious, deceitful person or an incredibly malicious, deceitful moron to file a privacy violation on someone else's behalf. So it seemed reasonable, sort of a reasonable conclusion. Yeah, it was probably G-Man who did this. So here's the link. So we put up the video. That's the one we're just watching. Here's the link for those of you who want to download it if you want to mirror it on your channel, and several people did. I certainly intended to, and then, you know, as I often do, I just didn't get around to it. This is my very first reply to it, where I say, look, G-Man has said openly he wants a flag war. And he says, he used to say things like, go ahead and flag me and I'll take up your flag war. No, he means that he will start a flag war because he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck about false flagging. He doesn't give a fuck about losing channels. He doesn't give half a fuck about being an honest person. So I say, I'm going to think about it, but then I'm going to do, that's what I just said here. Me, oh, I got to cry. Oh, I can't, look at this. I've got a typo in my, oh, I can't sleep now. Oh, I got an edit thing here. Oh, okay, I can just fix that. Oh my God. Okay, just everyone, just go get a cup of coffee. I got to fix my typos. Oh, that's better. Okay. But my temptation right now is to mirror your video with an introductory comment explaining the reason I'm putting on my channel as a form of protest of G-Man's choice to lie and to file a false privacy complaint on a video that doesn't dox at all. Notice too, G-Man's often said this, that he's quite happy to file DMCA claims as a means to take down videos even when no copyright issues are in play. He's literally that dishonest. He said this many, many, many times. So this is, oh my goodness, when did I put that up? There was days ago, days and days ago. If I move my thing off here to say, oh, that was an edit 1 second ago. Whatever. The reply here is 4 days ago. So that was 4 days ago. Okay, great. So people started mirroring this thing. Now, as of 5 hours ago, we have the admission from True Empiricism. Well, I just did a video on this, but I figured, screw it, I'll respond directly. I've not seen the video. If anybody else has a means to share that video with people, it'd be great if I could see a copy of it. I'll include a link in the video description or in the comments for this video after it's up. But I'd like to know what he said when he did his video and then deleted it. I can say I saw this comment 2 hours after it went up, and this video wasn't there. So he obviously did the video, and then he deleted it within a couple hours. So whatever. Here's the gravy here. So we now, I guess we all owe G-Man an apology because we assumed that G-Man was the dishonest cunt who flagged a video. In fact, it was True Empiricism who was especially extra dishonest and especially extra cuntish about it. He says, G-Man didn't flag you, I did. And I saw that, and I have to admit being a wee bit surprised that it's dumb enough when G-Man does stuff like this, but okay. And you, as well as Hogtie, need to understand YouTube's terms of service because this was a privacy issue in relation to all events that led to this point. Now, notice there's a couple things about this. He says he flagged you, and he says we need to understand YouTube's terms of service because this was a privacy issue in relation to all events that led to this point. This was actually explained with the flag report with related channels. I don't know what with related channels means. Did he do multiple flags for multiple channels, or did he flag multiple channels? I don't know. So there's a couple of points that we need to sort of ram into here full speed. Now, I honestly can care less about your tiers. There are two things that you need to take away from that statement. This is for people who've been sort of listening to me drone on. Prick up your ears because this is going to be an important point. First off, now, honestly, no commas, I can care less about your tiers, which means that he does care to some extent because it's possible for him to care less. So the first takeaway you need to know here is True Empiricism is an uneducated moron who's ill-equipped with our language. Setting that aside, notice what he's doing here. He's not saying that, like, okay, this is the thing that you're going to hear from them an awful lot. Notice they always have to hand a very quick way to rebuff and not deal with valid criticisms of their behavior. As soon as you say, hey, look, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have flagged my video. You shouldn't have, if True Empiricism decide to go on and be a hangout sniper, and you tell him, look, you're not going to my hangouts anymore because you're a hangout sniper, he's going to say, I can care less about your tiers. Hey, nobody's crying about this. This is such a dishonest tactic by somebody who knows that he's caught out wrong and simply doesn't have the mental horsepower and the maturity level to deal with it. Because instead of coming up with a response to what people are saying, he's going to go, oh, you're crying. You're going to cry now. You're going to cry. Like, I'm sorry, are you 6 years old? Like, that's how 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds deal with social conflict. right? Is it they well, you're going to cry, and people are not crying. People are saying, look, we're grown-ups living in a civilization with rules, and you're now admitting you're breaking the rules. Notice he says, hell, I do it again and tell you just as I whatever, and tell you I did it as I laughed. Who the fuck thought this guy had a right? Oh my God. Just stop blaming everyone. You people act out. Well, you know what? Reds Rhetoric didn't act out. He's got nothing to do with G-Man. He certainly didn't do anything to hurt True Empiricism's feelings. And yet here True Empiricism is crying. He thinks this is a justified thing. So anyway, you can go ahead and take a look at that thread. You'll find it, Reds Rhetoric. It's a public post by Reds Rhetoric, starting on August 8th. You'll find it very, very easily. If you can't find it, it is post ID number capital N, 1 capital B, lowercase e. You know, I'm not going to read that out. You'll find the post. You'll find it just fine. Then there's a bunch of discussion here below about you're an idiot, True Empiricism. You're an idiot, True Empiricism. You're a dishonest idiot, True Empiricism. One guy felt the need to post the terms of service. His question was, here's the terms of service. Can you tell us which rule number it violates? So my advice on that point, there's no point in I come in here right away to say, there's no point in debating True Empiricism on this thread. Having read his comments in this thread, it's obvious that his brain is once again stuck in a conclusion that no properly functioning brain, I thought I had a typo there, that no properly functioning brain could achieve. As our previous experiences make clear, there's no way to educate True Empiricism when he's this willfully wrong about something. We got to deal with the false flagging and just move forward from there. And by move forward, I mean to just ignore them. So this is the point I sort of draw you together to think about a little bit. All social media has malicious trolls on it. And some of those malicious trolls will lash out by false flags, and then they'll even openly admit they filed a false flag. Brett Keane famously did a little tutorial where he flagged a whole bunch of videos, and he showed people, oh, just type in whatever. They don't even look at the time. When it asks you for a timestamp, oh, 4 minutes, 15 seconds, whatever. I don't care. Didn't even watch the videos. Just flagged a bunch of them. And people who do such things cannot be reasoned with. This will not come as a surprise to you because True Empiricism, we know famously, cannot be reasoned with. When he gets latched on one of these things, he cannot be reasoned with. There's no point in discussing it with him. So it's just, let it be what it is. There's simply nothing you can do. So what I want to do, so this is me announcing, we're going to do this. See if Fiona pops in. You've just managed to admit to false flagging. Okay, so let's get to let's be super duper clear on this. Is this a false flagging? So let's do something. Let's go to. I must have had it up, didn't I? Because we're just watching it. Oh, right there. So it's in this window. If I drag this tab over here, boink. Again, people, if you're going to do sharing, if you're going to do screen sharing, set up one window, one Chrome window that's going to be your screen sharing window. So we'll take a look about this now. In the flag report, G-Man says that I'm sorry, not G-Man. It was True Empiricism. G-Man says that the offensive material, I'm going to unplug my headphones here. He says that the 234, it comes at 237, which is now.
At the sound of the tone, leave a brief message, your phone number, speak clearly, and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up here and show you another little trick. If you go pound T equals 2 minutes, 37 seconds, this is the time that True Empiricism drew to U2's attention as a flag. The first word, I'm going to repeat for you every proper name that you hear. Okay? You're going to hear Maytag. You're going to hear two other manufacturers. Okay, so here we go. We're going to play starting from 237. Tag. Just ask for a Maytag.
Hi, you have reached the office. We are not in at the time. At the sound of the tone, leave a brief message, your phone number, speak clearly, and we will get back to you.
Okay, so what had happened there, you'll notice that the sound cut out. And there's a reason why I played that through twice. So I want you to hear the sound cuts out in the same time. The sound of the name of the store is not broadcast in there. Okay, it's not in this video. How they achieve that through whatever technical means, I don't know. But it's obvious that when Reds put up this video, he said, not putting in the name of the store into my video. That is not going to break any sort of privacy rules by saying the name of a business.
As soon as possible. Thank you and have a good day.
Hello, my name is Erica, and I'm interested in purchasing a Maytag refrigerator. When you have a chance, could you please call me back at 609?
How can I help you?
Okay, now you notice there's another edit there. So the name Erica appears, and then you hear, call me back at 609, and then there's some beeping noises. What's Erica's phone number? We don't know. It never gets revealed. What's the phone number that she's calling? We don't know. It never gets revealed.
My name is Erica. I was looking into buying a used refrigerator, Maytag, if possible.
Let me see if we have a Maytag. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Right up and over.
Oh, shit. Shut up.
Okay, so I'm not going to actually play through the whole thing again. I think most people have seen it. I've given you enough information. You can go seek it out. I just wanted to draw your attention to that point at 237, which is the purported dock dropping. And you hear the name Maytag, you hear the name Erica, I think you hear another couple other manufacturers' names, but what you don't hear is any information about the store. You don't hear any information about G-Man. Later in that call, when the person says, well, who should I ask for? He says, well, just come into the store. My name is, and then he says his first name, which everybody knows his first name already. So there's nothing, no new information in there. But I'll tell you what, let's get to the really juicy part here. Let's say I don't like this video. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to report the redshift. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to go here and I'm going to say report. Why? Sexual, no. Well, just one second. I got to read this stuff here. Hang on. Okay, is this sexual, violent, repulsive, hateful? Well, let's go to infringes my rights. Okay, I got to choose one. Infringes my privacy. My name's not in here, but remember, I'm using the mentality here of true empiricism. And even though it doesn't infringe my privacy, I'm going to go ahead and lie and say it doesn't infringe my privacy. Next. Uh-oh. Oh, it didn't go next. Instead, it gave me a little pop-up here. YouTube's privacy guidelines. We're serious about protecting our users, blah, blah, blah. Hey, go to your own computer machine there and type in the words YouTube privacy guidelines. It'll take you right to this page. We want to protect these things and address privacy concerns. How does YouTube determine if content should be removed for a privacy violation? For content to be considered for removal, an individual must be uniquely identifiable by image, voice, full name, government identification number, bank account number, contact information. Examples given include home address, email address, or other uniquely identifiable information. Does this fit? Well, let's see here. Image, no. Well, his voice is on there, but is that personally identifying voice? None of that stuff is on here, except for G-Man's voice. Okay, they also talk about, you know, consent and newsworthiness and public interest and blah, blah, blah. None of that stuff would help, so that's fine. To be considered uniquely identifiable, there must be enough information that allows others to recognize you. Please note that just because you can identify yourself within the video, it does not mean you are uniquely identifiable to others. Let's look at an example here. A first name without additional context or a fleeting image, for example, would not likely qualify as uniquely identifiable. So a first name without, nope, that's fine. Okay, so it's not that. Then they say, okay, here's how the privacy process works. A complaint's filed, and then blah, blah, blah. Some stuff happens. Reporting a violation. Reporting a privacy violation. To file a privacy complaint, start the privacy complaint process. As the complainant, your privacy is respected in this process. At no point will your identity contact information released to the uploader without your consent. Okay, great. First-party claims are required. Isn't that funny how that's in bold? We do not accept claims made on behalf of third parties except in the following situation. If the individual whose privacy is being violated does not have access to a computer, then that individual can appoint you to do it. If the individual whose privacy is being violated is a vulnerable individual, there's a case to be made here. If true empiricism has a legal responsibility to protect G-Man as a mentally handicapped person, then yeah, okay, that makes sense. If parent or legal guardian, okay, if the parent's made by a legal representative for the individual whose privacy is being violated. We will not accept privacy complaints filed on behalf of other family members, co-workers, or employees. They have to submit the report. Individuals must submit a report themselves or on behalf of a company. Okay, so there's a description of how to do this here. So when you go to actually file your complaint, and I'll go back and try this again. Invades my privacy. Next, boom, it brings this screen up. You can't not go through. In fact, now how do I? Okay, I don't want that screen. I want this one. I'm going to try it again. Next, boom, it takes me right back to YouTube privacy guidelines. Read, and then eventually, yeah, this article is helpful. Sure, thank you, Google. Yeah, great. And then we can go to privacy complaint process. Maybe that's where it is. Oh, there it is. Contact your local police if whatever. File. Oh, copyright complaints over there. Was this article helpful? Yes. Where do I go? Continue? Okay. Being harassed. I'd like to learn more about, okay, privacy complaint. Contact the uploader. Step 3, if you think the video was posted, begin by contacting the uploader. So the procedure requires that you contact the uploader. Was that done? I suspect no. Please contact the uploader. Okay, he didn't do that, but whatever. Flag the video. I have reviewed the guidelines or I have not reviewed the guidelines. If you say I haven't, I'm assuming it's going to kick you out of this thing. Give this a try yourself and you will find, oh, abusing the privacy process may result in account suspension. Okay, well, I may lose my account, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. What personal information is being revealed? Your image or full name, your personal data? Well, what did he select? Who knows? So it should be pretty obvious to people that there is. Oh, yeah. Okay, we can do that. Sabella, yeah, just let me interrupt myself here for a second, because that actually indicates to me that I had received a message here through another means that I haven't been attending, because I kind of got to the fun part there. You know what I'm going to do? Well, you know, you'll see it when I do it. I think just because I don't know how to do that stuff. This, okay. So I guess my point here, and we'll have some. I had like 12 messages now. Sorry for not paying attention to my shit, people. You see where I'm going with this is that this is true empiricism admitting that he knowingly filed a false complaint. He does have. Oh, one sec. There you go. I shouldn't even let you in until you do that thing I just said there, Reds. Okay, so yeah, I guess people see where I'm going with this is that this is expressly a false flag. There is no other way that that this can be that can be interpreted. Yeah, I don't know if the audience can hear you or not, but there's a situation I want you to remedy on your setup there. You just fixed it. Thank you. Okay, there you go.
I'm on mobile, so there may be a delay. I did turn off my camera.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I know that happens to me all the time too. And actually, it's funny because it lets you turn off your camera first, and then it says call ended, and then it gives you the checkbox thing, and then it puts you back into the Hangout with your camera turned on. So I think most people have learned. I just tried to catch it before you saw what happened, but you caught it. But yeah,
not my first rodeo. I got this.
Yeah, most people actually will cup their phone. I see, like, put my fingers over my palm over one camera and my fingers over the other camera. Well, I trust you'll let me just wrap up this point, although I think it's perfectly obvious to the audience. I do want to say, as a little bit of a caveat, though, I do think that if it's the case that G-Man said, I don't know how to file a privacy complaint, true empiricism, buddy, can you please file it for me? Because I'm retarded. Then that would have been okay for true empiricism to do that for that reason. No, sorry, not would have been okay to file. I'm saying then we can't accuse true empiricism of lying when he claimed to be somebody else, because you are allowed to to file for somebody else if you're acting as their agent. There's no distinction between who's actually pushing the buttons. It's like handing your phone to somebody and saying, here, can you go to my contacts lists and dial so-and-so for me? That's still you placing the call, but it's through an agent, and that's acceptable in that one respect. But I still want to be clear about that. If that turns out to be Drew Empiricism's actual excuse, if he says, oh no, I had G-Man told me to do that, well, then that just puts us back at square one. You're both fucking idiots now, because that means that G-Man knows he doesn't have a privacy violation because there's no privacy violation in that video. And it means that True Empiricism says, yes, I will be your agent in this matter, and I will go ahead and file your false privacy complaint, even though there's nothing in that video. So those are the only two situations now. Either G-Man told True Empiricism to do this, and True Empiricism did it, which means they both lied to make this happen. They both dishonestly filed this false flag, with, or the other situation is G-Man had nothing to do with it, in which case True Empiricism lied and lied and lied and lied again because he was pretending to be somebody who had he pretended to be somebody else when he filed this report. Absolutely no honesty. And I think the last point I want to make is before I invite Reds in, just keep in mind, people, and this is where we're going to go with this discussion about what do we do when you have a troll who knowingly false flags, intentionally false flags, and then goes out and admits that he's false flagging. You need to have a very different approach with them, because
I don't mean to cut you off. I don't mean to cut you off, but I am at work. I'm strapped for time.
Okay, gotcha. You give her then.
Okay, so just to be clear, when we say that G-Man lies about no job plus needing donations, he actually did lie about no job and needing donations, because at the time that video was made and he was on the job working, the video was still up of him asking for donations. See, if I was in that position and I actually had this thing called honesty, I would have taken it down immediately, or at the very least made a fucking G+ post to say, hey, I got employed at a different employer. I no longer need donations to help my sorry ass. Go ahead and ixnay on that shit. But no, he didn't do that. Instead, he kept that video up knowing full well that he was actually going to get paid for the day by a job. So, and also, I don't want to hear the excuse of, well, I wasn't home. You can delete videos or get rid of them from a mobile device. I mean, that's how I got rid of the one that I got the privacy complaint against when False Empiricism decided to false flag my fucking shit. So at this point, I have decided to do one thing. There was one part in that video which I guess could be, if you really stretched it, a violation of his privacy, and that was G-Man's first name. G-Man's first name was said at the very end of that video. I am going to re-upload that video, and I'm going to make even more edits to it. The reason why you did not hear the business name is because I downloaded that Hangout after the fact, put it in my editor, and I censored out those portions so that you didn't hear the business name or the business phone number. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and make another edit so it can be put back on my channel, but I'm going to censor out G-Man's first name, so now there is no way, shape, or form this can be traced back to him, period.
Okay, tell you what, when you do that, I'll go ahead and share it on mine, mirror that version on mine, especially if you change it to when he says, oh, yeah, come to the store anytime, you can ask for me, I'm fuckface. Just change it to like some high squeaky voice saying something stupid. I would love that. But hey, let me address your points really quick. I know you got to get to work, but I do want to say I think it's debatable whether or not that he was dishonest or he committed fraud. If you heard what I'd said about this in the day after it happened, I was making what I think is a very good point, is that honestly, after all the crap that G-Man's gone through at his own hands, right, his own folly, for him to then lose that job and then sit back and go, oh my God, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? And then he says, oh, I'll ask for money. And remember, he noticed too, he says, yeah, True Empiricism put that video up himself. Well, after I asked him. Or they both say that it was True Empiricism's idea, and they both say on different occasions that G-Man asked him to do it. So whatever. So whatever. True Empiricism starts.
True Empiricism just has a wild stick up his ass. I remember your point, and your point was actually really good. And let me just say it briefly. Your point was that we actually don't have enough evidence to show that G-Man was actually lying about not having a job. It
No,
could
no,
have been the
sorry.
case that he was indeed fired and then was given the opportunity to come
Sure,
back
sure. Hang
after the
on,
fact.
hang on. I'll let you respond to that point, but that's not actually the point I was going to make. That is honestly,
Okay.
if G-Man would have got back on YouTube and said on the Thursday and would have said, "Hey, I went to work for 1 hour today, and it looks like I'm going to get my job back at exactly the same place that I was at before," I would have smacked my forehead and went, "G-Man is the biggest fucking idiot on the planet." I don't think he ever should have come and told people that he had the job back or a job or anything else. I don't think he should have done that. So I disagree with that idea that he had any sort of obligation. In fact, I would have called him out as being a total moron if he would have told people that he got his job back. Now, in terms of go ahead and make your point then about whether or not it was fraud, that he could have deleted it sooner or whatever else. I mean, I don't know. I think Gmail. That's the danger. I guess this is my response to that. That is the danger of setting up a fundraiser, especially through PayPal, not a legitimate fundraiser source, but an undocumented quote unquote fundraiser through something like PayPal, and doing it in a sketchy means like that with a sketchy description of what your need for help is and what the cause that was, and at the same time accusing other people of fraud for fundraisers when that's a lie. But whatever.
He's accused other people of for fraudulent fundraisers, so I find it really ironic and a bit hypocritical for him to completely lose his shit over this. I do want to say this is that being that he was getting paid for his time at the time of the making of that particular video, and the fact that he still had that video up saying that, oh, well, woe is me, I lost my job, so I need donations. All right, both of those things happening at the exact same time equal liar to me. And I think a lot of people share my feeling on that. If you are going to have a video up where you are boo-hooing and complaining about how these evil atheists are evil and how they completely cost you your livelihood, and you're asking for donations just to scrape by, yet at the same time that video is up there doing your bidding, you're actively working to pay your bills, that becomes false advertising to me. That becomes actively lying to me.
Well, you know
And
what?
at this point, I'm done protecting G-Man. I'm done giving him the benefit of the doubt. That fucker has lost all good hopes in my corner. That he is done as far as I'm concerned. So if he wants to play this game where he's just going to be a little asshat to everyone, well, two can play at that game, and I can play it better than he can.
Okay, well, you know what? You say the thing about, and you say that, well, look, they did approach the fundraiser dishonestly. Even if a person were to grant that G-Man was under the impression he would never go back to that job, when they started the fundraiser, but then he did get his job back, or he's back on a temporary basis, or back on a reduced time basis, or whatever the arrangement is. Even if you agree to that, well, then he should have taken the thing down. You're saying other people agree with you. I don't know where to go with that, Reds, because all I can say is I don't agree with you. I think that we absolutely should just leave well enough alone with whether he's got a job or not. And I think you and I agree on this point, that the only reason that it's interesting that, well, here he is at his work and he's still got this fundraiser up. Normally people would have went, well, whatever. People aren't giving him money anymore. Just he keeps saying that he never received a penny from anyone, and true empiricism's in the hangout with them. Like the true empiricism, like he does, like even his own friends aren't helping him. Like the whole thing's crazy. But here's the thing: is I don't really want to. I think we disagree on that single point about whether or not he entered into that intentionally as a fraud. I don't even know if you're accusing him of doing it that way, but I'm saying
no,
that.
what
I know, but
I mean, if you want to know what
I think
I'm
we disagree,
accusing him
but
of,
why
also.
argue about it? That's a separate discussion. And I think that, I mean, I really want to do this hangout about the false flagging. I mean, I think you're right. I think you're making a good case. It's not one that I agree with. I already had my opportunity to make the opposite case, that I think he should have kept his mouth shut. And if people want to donate to him, they can donate to him. The only reason it's relevant is because the asshole accuses other people of fraud when they're engaged in honest, genuine fundraising for people who actually need it.
He doesn't
but beyond
actually
that,
have to. He doesn't have to actually, broadcast the fact that he has a job. Just take down the video of him asking for donations. And the thing is because that would no longer be needed. But if you still have the video up asking for donations that's saying one thing, and that thing is not the actual case, then that is dishonesty in my definition.
Okay, granted. I'm just saying, I'm saying the point's debatable, and I absolutely take your point. I'm not saying you're wrong about it. I'm just saying that I come to a bit of a different conclusion with how someone of G-Man's mental capacity ought to have dealt with the situation on Thursday through Saturday when his future was still undetermined. I think the thing that isn't debatable is about the doc dropping thing. And now that you're here, I wanted to ask you one sort of a technical question about this. So I'm screen sharing your video, and I noticed when I was watching it the first time, although now I can't put my finger on it, there was something that seemed odd to me about the aspect ratio on this. And then there were these weird jumps in it, right? So like, for example, we're all experienced at watching Hangouts on, as people are right now. People are watching us in a Hangout. We know what it looks like when Hangouts gets broadcast through the YTL, what's it called, the YouTube Live feed, right? So when you do a Hangout in Hangouts, but it's broadcast through YTL, so people are watching it as people now are through YouTube. There's a certain sort of look and feel to it, and I felt when I watched your video, something looked off about it to me. Then there was weird jumps. So, and I know you just explained it, but I want you to be clear about it again. Why this video looks slightly different, and second, why you took those extra steps, and third, how much time it took you to take those extra steps. Those fair questions.
The Hangout, the reason why the Hangout looks so different is because it's not a raw Hangout. It wasn't a Hangout that was downloaded and then simply re-uploaded. I actually had to do edits to that Hangout in my video editor. And the edits I made was I added, the caption at the top that said evidence. I also added some screenshots, but I had to make sure that the screenshots were only on the, there we go. The little, evidence right there. I put that there. And I also managed to insert some clips in there from Ronnie to add some context to what we were saying was going on. That way people could follow along, as well as a screenshot from G-Man showing that, hey, this is what he said about him losing his job. So that way people know that we weren't talking out of our asses there. Then what I did was I edited the audio to make sure that the business name and the business phone number would not be in the video. The reason why I did that was because as much as I dislike G-Man, I have nothing against a business owner just trying to do business, so why would I give him any more shit? So I censored that out. And then after I censored all that out, I also clipped the end, which was a bunch of irrelevant BS that didn't need to be in the original video because it distracted from the main point of the video. After I had all of those edits in place, adding context, adding titles, censoring audio where needed, I then rendered the whole thing out as the video that you are watching right now on the Redshift channel, and that is the video that is currently free for download. How long did it take? I would say about 20 minutes to edit, just because I had to watch it a few times, and about 5 minutes to render.
Okay, so now I understand. Actually, you're faster at it than I thought. But I also understand now too that you're saying you did some of the editing to include other things. So, for example, the word evidence as a super, and then the clip from True Empiricism's video, and then the clip from G-Man's video, and then this is the part I was talking about. You see the part I'm screen sharing now. You notice that it actually didn't render with the right aspect ratio on this portion of the video, and that's why you lose several pixels on the bottom here and then half this person's icon. So those were all sort of clues that you had edited, but you're saying that of those 20 minutes, some amount of that time was dedicated to saying, oh, the name of the business was here, oh, there was a phone number here, we're taking those things out, and that was done to protect privacy.
Yes, that was done to protect privacy. That's why you actually hear the audio go to absolute zero during those portions. That's because I made that happen.
Okay, we're being joined by other people, and I know you have to leave soon. So just before we do that, I'd like people to mute themselves for a moment, please, because what I'm going to do now, just because there may be other people joining, I've got the right, okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to unplug my headphones so that people can hear. I'm going to play the audio through once more because
you do that. I actually have to go. So peace out.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for dropping by. Share the hell out of this. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we're just going to listen to the audio of that part one more time.
We are not in at the time. At the sound of the tone, leave a brief message, your phone number, speak clearly, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you and have a good day.
Hello, my name is Erica, and I'm interested in purchasing a Maytag refrigerator. When you have a chance, could you please call me back at 609?
Okay, so there are those are the sort of critical edits that now I played that earlier in my Hangout, but that was an hour ago, and Reds just described what he'd done there. So I just wanted to give sort of put that evidence back in the old record there. So welcome, Shadow Heathens and Dragnut, and why don't you join us for the last 10 minutes of our Hangout about this? And I would like to kind of focus on, so what do we do when we have a troll who wants to take away freedom of speech, sees victory as I destroyed the other person's channel, and they assume that you see victory as you destroying their channel, and they'll openly admit to false flagging. What are your thoughts on that, guys? And we'll try to keep this. Anybody can join, but I kind of want to keep it to about 10 more minutes.
I just want to say real quick, True has actually responded to you specifically on G+. I was asked to pass along this message. I say don't feed him. Starving the troll is probably the best thing to do. He looks like he's been starving himself in real life, so I think it's only fitting. He does things like this to get attention. He's especially malicious when people aren't paying attention to him so that he can generate views for his channel and feed whatever need for attention his mother obviously did not give him as a child.
I want to ask the audience how Dragnut sounded. It sounded to me like your gain is set for about 300. That was super loud. I'm just looking. I don't know what response you're talking about. I had seen Akan, I think Akan Lord had mentioned at this thing, and I don't know where. Oop, geez, I'm screen sharing. Oh, I'm not screen sharing. Thank goodness. That was a mistake. Just about dox myself. Okay, so I go to here. I don't know what I'm looking for. Like I go to Google Plus. Is that where it is?
Yeah, I was just told that. Is this better, by the way?
Super loud.
Okay.
Super loud. You can't drop it on your end. I got to drop it on your inside because it's like skull busting.
Yeah, I have the phone further away from my face. But I was just given a message that he replied to you on G+, and specifically it says, morons, no one false flagged anyone, but if you want to cry about it and say I did, go for it. I really don't care, ellipsis. I mean, I can false flag you right now, then you can have a real reason to cry. Do I have to do that, then laugh on camera to say, yep, now I did, in order to paint the pic, ellipsis, I don't care, question mark. Also, red line, don't assume because I am not posting long tangents that your post is valid. Look at these idiots in the chat. Look at your response. I state that the accusation of the scam was BS for an obvious reason, and it is clearly ignored. Anyways, carry on with 1R. So I think that until he can communicate to us as if he has passed high school and has some grasp of the English language, he should be shunned and blocked.
Yeah, no, that's agreed. I mean, by the way, a person has to be amused. When did you write this? 16 minutes ago. So this was well after that part of this Hangout when I said, notice that when he's caught out and he knows he screwed up, but he doesn't want to admit it. His brain doesn't work with the, oh, maybe I should question what I did. He says, oh, you want to cry about it? You want to cry about it? Again, you know, my kids are 7 and 8, and they're past that stage. They're mentally past. First off, their spelling and grammar and use of punctuation is better in 2 languages than his. But that's not really relevant to this. It's just amusing to me. Yeah, actually, hang on a sec. I know how to do this to you.
They also have loving parents. That's a huge difference here.
It does help. Yeah, it does help. It does help. Let me just go to this guy here. Hey, if you live near me and you're on Skype, there's that. Okay. So where was I? So yeah, they're mentally beyond this age where they're going to cry about it, you're going to cry about it. And this is the thing. They will hold Hangouts. I mean, just be amused at sort of the progress of this Hangout so far, where I had started by talking about the extinction burst and about how after Magic Sandwich Show episode 88, they went on for hours and hours and hours. And a person may characterize that as crying about it because they whined and bitched and complained and then just turned facts around and they just lied about it. And I said, notice that in the days since they were caught out, like where G-Man went crazy and Doc dropped a bunch of people, and they were caught out doing this. They were caught out supporting G-Man in doing this, endorsing that behavior, with an occasional, well, maybe he shouldn't have done whatever he did to Hana. Like, no. They said, yeah, you were right to do that. It's understandable you did that. They completely supported him doing it. They're caught out in this. So now they've hold multiple hangouts, whining and crying. Go and watch that one where they're, what did I say, the scam, whatever, they're on to us on the True Talk TV channel. And you'll hear them retread, rewrite history, right? And do all that stuff. And notice they can complain all they want about our behavior. They can make up behaviors that we didn't even do, and they can lie about it, and they can bitch and complain. But as soon as any one of us says, hey, look, G-Man, you shouldn't have taken a bullhorn in, or anything that we've said over the many years, true empiricism, you shouldn't lie about somebody, you shouldn't falsely accuse them of something, anything that we mention, they say, oh, well, you're crying about it. What are you talking about? I'm not crying about it. I'm telling you that you did something. We have evidence you did this thing. I would personally prefer you didn't do it. I'm telling you to stop doing it. You're not stopping doing it. You can fuck off. That's not me crying. But this is how a guy like True Empiricism, that isn't mentally equipped to engage in some sort of introspection and to recognize a mistake he's made, this is how he responds to it. Is that he says, oh, you can cry. I'll give you a real reason to cry. He's a fucking child. So anyway, he's done.
No, he's been done for a long time. The majority of us won't even bother to waste time. They're going to these lengths to try and remain relevant. I must make them talk about me. It's like, dude, really? Ugh.
I realized the problem I did here. When I adjusted my volume to play that video through more clearly.
You left it up way too high.
Yeah, that's right. So you both sound like definitely loud, but oh, that's much better now. So it's not me. Hopefully the audience isn't disrupted by that. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is honestly, I'm kind of done with it. I don't want to get into another big long discussion about, oh, they did this, they did that, because that's just what they do. And we're really at the point now of this is why I really want to talk about the flagging thing, because this isn't about true empiricism. This isn't about G-Man. This is about people who false flag and openly admit they false flag and laugh about it, or at least claim they're laughing about it. And if you don't like it, you can cry. And it's that typical sort of a childish thing. These are not people to be reasoned with. So as you've heard me say before, I don't, like in my hangouts, I don't allow doc droppers. I don't allow false flaggers, and by that I don't mean if you put up if you flag a video and I don't agree with your reason for flagging, I don't consider you a false flagger. We just have a different oh my god, sorry, I just got a message from an idiot who's lying. It's so weird. How do I turn that? I can just block them later. It's just that beeping keeps happening on Skype. I'm gonna have to turn that off because it goes right into my head, like I say. What was I complaining about? Yeah, so I mean, if you flag a video and I don't agree with your reasons for flagging it, but I sort of see that at least that was your honest opinion when you flagged it, then I don't consider you a false flagger. I just don't agree with you about it. But if you are engaged in a campaign to take down somebody else's channel, or to vandalize their hangouts, or to doc drop people, or you're doing things to disrupt their personal lives, like any of that stuff, I don't want you in my hangouts. It's no fun. It doesn't bring anything beneficial to the discussions in my hangouts, and even hangouts like this where it's a discussion about the discussion. I don't want that. So off you guys go. That now means G-Man's a doc dropper. G-Man is a hangout vandal, and a doc dropper. So he adds nothing. I don't need him here. What does he add? Something good to the conversation? True empiricism, very clearly an admitted false flagger, who's only interested in taking away other people's YouTube channels because he considers that victory. Off he goes. Got nothing to do with the guy. And so I guess what I wanted to bring up then, and I'll let you guys talk for a bit, and then I want to bring it to a close, is really about the strategy in dealing with them. So they're gone. You don't discuss them. You don't discuss things with them. Off they go. But I guess I want to ask people about the wisdom of fighting flags, because I think that, like in my view, when I lost channels due to flagging campaigns. There used to be a really effective recipe for taking down a whole channel by submitting claims spaced out over a period of time. And people figured this out, and you could take down any channel anytime. Well, not any channel, any small to medium-sized channel you could take down fairly easily. And I lost channels over this. So I put a lot of thought into the flagging things over the years. I've taken a lot of flags over the years. And honestly, I think I remember when Nephilim Free went on his flagging campaign around the time of Amanda Gate, he started threatening to sue people. He started flagging people. He was doing DMCA claims. He was running around doing this stuff. And at the time, the group of us agreed we are going to quietly fight each and every false flag. So basically, here's what I'm suggesting. Then I want to let other people talk. What I'm suggesting is when you get a flag, step one, review the flag and see if there's any chance that it's possibly valid. Be a decent human being. Sometimes you get in a disagreement with somebody, take a look at it and say, well, it's a privacy thing. Well, did I break the other person's privacy? Yes or no? Maybe you did make a mistake. Avoid a fight where you can. Sometimes for a privacy violation, like when you look at what Reds Line is saying here now, he says he didn't even get a legitimate flag from G-Man. He got flagged by somebody else, but he says, well, you know what? I'll take out the guy's first name too, just to clean it up. And he's going to put the video back up. So actually listen to the complaint against your channel and then work with it as best you can. But if you think it is absolutely outright a false flag, then you got to decide whether it's worth a fight. You might just take down the video and not fight over it. Just shoulder the flag until it expires. Or you might do the objection to the flag. And I do think people should be objecting to the flag. So to get to my point here, when Nephilim Free embarked on this adventure several years ago where he was flagging and filing false DMCA claims, we just made a video like this one where we tell people this is what we're going to do, and then we just never talked about it again. Every time he did a false flag, you would just object to the flag. Every time he did a false DMCA claim, you just did a DMCA counter notification, and your videos went back up. And that fucking guy toughed it out for months, just flagging and flagging and flagging. And then eventually he got bored of it because the effect of flagging is only temporary. If people are willing to file the objections to the flags and to file DMCA counter notifications, then you can weather the storm. Don't get emotional about it. Don't do a bunch of hangouts and complain and bitch about it. Don't call out other people. Don't encourage other people to launch into a false flag retaliation. But I think we should be fighting these flags as they come up. Use the YouTube tools to fight them, and just go on making your videos and ignore these trolls who are just there to destroy your channel. Your thoughts from others?
I have fought against every flag that I've ever gotten, and I've won each one. So, yeah, fight them every friggin' time. Well, unless you did blatantly break community guidelines.
Do unto others as they would have do unto you. So everyone go flag a shit.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you to do that, but if you do so happen to come across something on Truth's channel that blatantly, and I mean blatantly, violates terms of service, talk to other people about it, especially those who understand terms of service and have been around for a while, and then make a decision that way.
Well, that's the idiotic thing about it too. Well, again, I'm hesitant to say this because I don't want people to think that I'm, subtly suggesting go flag his channel. But it's just one of those things. I really have trouble with this because when I try to point out how stupid they are, I mean, by True Empiricism's reasoning, there could be 50 people watching this broadcast go over and flag his channel and just take timestamps. And the thing is, he can't say that there's anything wrong with it, right? Because not only does he not have a foundation for his morality, Veckel, he doesn't. Veckel likes to use that argument, and True Empiricism doesn't have a foundation for his morality. He's not capable of that sort of moral reasoning. But good question. Did Ronnie take down the G-Man charity video? I'll repeat that question out loud from Christopher. And somebody else, if you have the answer, you can let me know when I'm done this little rant here. But you know what I mean? Like, and they can't say, oh, well, you people, I can't believe they did that. They did that. Well, they did it in response to you doing it. Again, I don't want people doing it. And I sort of feel like we had an off-air hangout about 3 weeks ago where I was shaking my head, and it was with a small group, like just me and two other people that I trust very much. And I said, you know something, G-Man did something so stupid lately in all this fighting and retaliation and everything that he made a slip up that means he would be same day evicted from his apartment. And I kind of want to make a video where I just in a hangout mention, hey, did you see this thing that G-Man did? Because there's one step that one person needs to make to have G-Man evicted same day. But I can't go into a hangout and say, hey, look at how dumb he is. He just did the thing that if somebody did this thing, he would be evicted same day, not 15 days notice. He would be same day evicted. Because if I do that, you imagine what that would look like then. If I come out and I say, well, if you go to this timestamp in this video and you take this and you do that with it, G-Man will be on the street the next day. Well, but please don't do it. Like, obviously somebody's going to do it. So you have to kind of sit on that. You've got some great information to show what an idiot the guy is. He could have got himself evicted, but you can't tell people about it, because if you tell people about it, it only takes one person to do something like that. But accept my word for it, he's an idiot. Ari's asked, what did he do to get evicted? I can't say, because if I tell you, then someone will do the thing that would get him evicted, and I don't want that to happen. That's ridiculous. I kind of regret bringing it up. But no, anyway, yes, people could go flag true empiricism. Please don't. I find that doesn't help. It just, in their minds, it kind of fuels the idea. You know what the thing, okay, let me say this. I do want other people's thoughts, but this light bulb went on for me. They hate people, and they like being hated. And they feel that the battleground of this war is like taking shots, tearing down each other's channels. Oh, that person got a flag. Oh, that person got suspended. Oh, that person got their channel closed. That to them is what the war is. You can't fight the war with them on their grounds, because they're dishonest, and they will go ahead and fly any bullshit, any bullshit stuff, right? So if there's no, and you don't want to do that. That's dishonest. Remember, when you want to know what makes their life miserable, it's not opening up your mail or going to YouTube and seeing that red bar across the top about notice from YouTube support, and your videos received a strike for whatever, right? They don't mind that. They love being hated. You know what they hate seeing? Oh, I'm going to screen share something they hate seeing. This to me is delicious. I'm going to go YouTube and I'm going to type in this name. And I'm going to screen share that window. All right. Here we go. 7,500 subscribers, 7,541, 7,547 subscribers. Videos, 181 views, 176 views, 108 views. I have 108 people watching this Hangout live. This thing's been up for 2 days. He has 108 partial views. He's got a 300. He's got an 180. This is what breaks their hearts. A guy that used to have over 10,000 subscribers now can't get people to watch his videos. And now go ahead and take a look at True Talk TV. Go take a look at GTV. These guys with thousands of subscribers. G-Man's over 10,000 subscribers. When his videos are getting 100 views, that's the thing that burns for them. Hello, Dee.
Hello. How do they get so many subscribers? Do they rent them or something?
You can purchase views. It's hard to purchase subscribers. Again, this is me sort of pontificating on the years ago. You can engage in there are sub services, where as long as you agree to subscribe, they give you a list of channel names, and then you go and subscribe to 500 different channels. And then each of those people subscribe to you, so your sub count goes up by 500, and they don't actually watch your videos.
Oh, so your subs will go up, but if the viewer count doesn't go up, you know that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why one index of sorry, Dee, because you're making a really good point. But one index of your influence online is take your views on a video divided by your number of subscribers. Right. So if you have a video out there that has 5,000 views when you've got 100 subscribers, that was an impactful video. But if you have a video that's got 500 views on it when you've got 20,000 subscribers, that's a video that nobody's watching. That's a video that just opened when somebody had autoplay turned on, some subset of your people, and it'll just go on autoplay for somebody. Nobody's really paying attention to it. You're not influencing anybody. It's also a symptom of sub for sub things, and you can purchase subs, but apparently that's a little more expensive. But purchasing views is apparently pretty affordable. We could ask G-Man, because I apparently in his email he gets the.
Wow.
And if you get caught purchasing views, they will throw you off the platform. It's a violation of TOS.
No, they won't throw you off for it if you get caught.
I got threatened with it.
If you get caught, that's the thing.
I got threatened with it and I didn't even fucking do it. And when I'm sitting there saying, I did not fucking do this, what are you talking about? They responded with, you need to be careful with which services you try to approach to promote your channel. I'm like, I didn't.
Oh, wow.
No, it was back when I did my cult night on the Moonies. Apparently, it was nice, just nice enough to the Moonies that somebody decided to host it on some fucking page without my permission.
Oh, I see. Right. I mean, I know certainly with G-Man and the others, I know from talking with other people, I know some people are sub to him just for the lols. But I don't think there's thousands of people. So, and I imagine there's some sub to Neffy for the lols as well. I mean, I confess to being sub to, it's not actually Von Elton's channel, but it's someone who mirrors his other videos that he makes on YouTube and some other sites, because I don't think he's on on Facebook. And I admit I'm sub to that for the lols.
Yeah, well, there are just when you're asking about what people get subs and they don't get many views, I think you even said, like, how do they get so many subs? It's very easy. If you're just like an insane idiot and you do something that's a little bit different, like you just do some wacky stuff, like make 4 videos one each day where it's like you just burning your arm hair off. You do arm hair one day and then the other arm the next day and then your armpit hair the day after. Be like, tomorrow it'll be whatever, and like you'll get people who'll sub to that because they'll want to see, where's this person going. I don't know if that's a good example or not, but there's certainly some ones. As long as you kind of serialize your videos so that people are going to want to come back, they will click the subscribe button. But then when they get bored of it because it's the same old nonsense, then just when your videos come up, they don't watch them anymore. And then after a while, see, it's weird because it used to be your subscription list, this is going back many years, but your subscription list used to be a chronological order of all the videos made by channels you're subscribed to, which is the thing that makes the most sense. But now people tend to subscribe, but they don't like, people subscribe, but they don't unsubscribe. So if you think about it, I mean, could you imagine having 1,000 magazine subscriptions? Do you actually read all those magazines?
That's part of why I walked away from the old 13 Heathens account, is I had like 1,300 subscribers and I was getting like 100 views. I'm like, okay, something's wrong here. Most of these people are no longer active. I need to start fresh or something.
Yeah. Well, what happens is so you know how there's like the recommended videos? Because you watch this, we're going to recommend that. Well, your subscriptions window is actually recommended videos from within your subscriptions list. So if you're subscribed to somebody and you never watch their videos anymore, then based on your activity, even though you're subscribed to them, their videos won't show up on your subscriptions list. But if you, like, every time Captain Disillusion makes a new video, you're watching it within 5 minutes of it being uploaded, and then you go get your kids and you watch it a second time with them, well, then every time he uploads a video, it's going to appear at the top of your subscriptions list. But if you're subscribed to Nephilim Free and you haven't watched Nephilim Free video for 4 years, you'll never watch them, because even though you're subscribed, it just simply won't rise up to the top. So that's why they added the whole click the bell thing. You have to turn on notifications now, because people are saying, "Oh, I'm not getting my notifications when you subscribe. I don't see your videos." I go, "Well, now we'll add the little bell. So subscribe and click the bell to receive notifications." Right? Well, that's why, because you don't actually get all your subscriptions.
Yeah, because I've noticed there's some people that I think, I know they had a new video because they just posted it in a link somewhere else, but it didn't come up on my subs. But I don't know. I suppose if you don't make many videos, you might not come up in people's subs either, because they won't have watched you for ages because you didn't make many videos. Don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But then every now and again, I get a notification saying someone's following you on Twitter, and it's somebody I've never heard of, because occasionally people that I actually know, I follow them on Twitter and they'll follow me, sort of thing. I rarely, if ever, put a status or whatever, a tweet up, and yet every now and again a complete stranger's following me, and I'm thinking, why, how, what? I mean, I tend to forget I've even got Twitter, and then I get a little notification saying Fred Blogs is following you, and I'm like, okay, I haven't done anything for 3 years. Okay.
I don't know how they decide. I don't use Twitter, but I do know that quite often on YouTube, if you put up a video, you'll get a response from somebody that says, "Great video, really well done!" ! And then there'll be a link on it.
And they don't exist. They can bugger off. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just you'll get those things, and it's just like this random praise, and yeah. Though I generally block those people. I don't, because they're not real people. They're just people spamming. Actually, the thing I used to get a lot on Skype. And
I don't desperately block them, but I always remove the comment because piss off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody. Sorry. Raynard in the what? Rayrard. Is that how you're supposed to pronounce that? Yes, I used to watch
Rayrard.
Bring It. What?
So I was just so I've got a little bit. I don't know what I've got, but I tend to repeat things. Carry on, Rayrard.
Yeah. I used to watch Bring It Evolutionists until Ronnie blocked all of my accounts. What's the point of watching? That's one thing too. When you notice that they get a lot of subscribers and they get a lot of views in their early days in doing a certain type of video, and then it just drops off steadily over time, and then people aren't even talking about it anymore. They don't realize how much they hurt their engagement by not letting people participate. Right. Like I've said a number of times, one of the mistakes I make, I have the live chat open in a pop-out window here, and I'll even sometimes set it up so that I'm screen sharing it so I can pay attention to it. And I don't address what's in the live chat often enough. I mean, ironically, I remembered that because I had just looked at the live chat and saw that. But yeah, when they start, like, they don't want to discuss, they don't want to have these conversations. They want to sit there and have people think that that they're doing some sort of teaching, and they say people lose interest in it, and they go off and they do other things. I mean, you saw TST this last week was really good, without needing to say, oh, so hey, G-Man did the same thing that G-Man does every week again, right? Because it's boring, and there's other people that we can talk about and other people that we can talk with. So it's, yeah, they kind of shoot themselves in the foot. For this one, as I said, I do kind of want to get on with my day. So, I mean, I certainly don't mind leaving the Hangout open, but let's give it a couple more minutes. So anybody who's setting up a Hangout, let me know. I know Heathens, you host quite a bit. Drag.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my own thing today.
I was just going to say, I love it when, even if I'm not putting comments in the live chat, I love it if I see the host or other people in the Hangout addressing comments in the live chat. And even though I don't host Hangouts, if I'm in a Hangout, I quite often like to pay attention to the live chat. And if I can't get a chance to speak and read out what somebody said, I'll copy and paste it in the side chat of the Hangout, because I think that's great. So the other thing, unless I know there's a very specific reason, if I start watching a video that someone's linked or something, and then I notice comments disabled, I'll stop watching it. Unless sometimes there's a very specific reason why they've done it. But in general, I'm like, if I can't comment, I'm not watching it.
That's a great point. It's funny until you said it out loud. I do the same thing. Like I'll be, especially if it's on my phone, because generally if it's on my phone, I load up the video and then I turn the phone sideways, so I'm watching it in landscape view. But once in a while, I'll turn it back, and then I'll sort of skip past all the related videos because I don't, whatever. And then I'll get to see, well, what are the comments on this video? And as soon as I see, oh, it says comments are disabled, my enthusiasm for hearing even the next 10 seconds of the video just goes down about 1%. Let's say, unless there was a specific reason why I'd loaded that one up. But that's funny, because I feel that drive to just be like, oh, okay, it's just, I don't care.
Even if I'm probably not even going to comment, I just feel like, oh, well, I'm not listening to you if you're not going to listen to anyone else. And it's really, I mean, I won't automatically do that, but in general, I'm kind of like,
yeah. Well, this is where, I mean, Nephilim Free really hurt himself quite a bit. I had Nephilim Free likes, as you've seen, I did my the 3-minute video there the other day about what it's like having a debate with Nephilim Free. Is that he will come on to a text, like a text exchange place, whether it's the YouTube comments or in this case it was Google Plus comments, Google Plus feed, and he'll post on there, and he'll go back and forth with you 4 or 5 times in debating with you through text, and then he will say, "I don't debate people in text." And he'll walk away, having not once made even a single. My kids got the Beyblade thing out. Not once made a single relevant point. He will post paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs, and all you have to do is say in response is, "Yeah, fascinating, but can you please say something that addresses anything that's in the OP?" And he can't say a thing. And then he'll go, "I don't debate in text." And I think on mine he put in come out into the light. Okay, what are you talking about? I do Hangouts all the time, and the door's open. You can come into mine. What I was laughing at a few minutes ago was he just messaged me on Skype, where he says, My hangouts are open to anyone who will act cordially. Go fuck yourself, because that's not true. That is not true. I'm sure he blocks some people who are rude, but he also blocks people that embarrass him, right? And so anyway, we had this exchange a few days ago, and then I got a message from Nar Warrior saying that, oh, Neff's lying about your exchange in a hangout. So I looked at his most recent hangout, and it's about an hour long. It's got, you know, it had about 16 views at the time I clicked on it, and so I watched it, and it was hard to watch because he drones and he drones and he drones. And about 20 minutes into it, he sees a comment from Nar Warrior, and he goes, "Oh, what's this about? Oh yeah, well that's not true." And then he talks about this guy he's known for years, Hogtie Champ, and then he completely lies about what the exchange was for about 2 sentences, and then he just goes back to droning on about what he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And in listening and actually searching through the video to find that, his video content is a lot like he'll say, "Oh yeah, well some evolutionists are really upset with me as I said some things about fossils. When will those guys ever learn?" And so let me tell you the truth about what I was getting at with these evolutionists. And then he'll just start droning on about fossils for 25 minutes. But he never at any point says, "Oh, I was in a hangout with somebody." He didn't. You'll never hear him say, for example, "Well, I was hosting a hangout and Reds Rhetoric came in and told me I was wrong about space. You can find this on my channel in a video titled this. Reds Rhetoric joins about the half-hour mark. Anyway," right? He will never give you any hint as to who he was talking about with when. He literally says, "Some evolutionists were upset with me over something I said about fossils." What kind of a reference is that?
Well, the bigger problem with Nephi is that he monologues like no one else on here.
Oh my God.
So his whole thing with, I'll let anyone in here as long as they're cordial. You can't stay cordial because at some point you're going to have to interrupt him. Otherwise he will talk for an entire 2 hours straight without letting you get a word in.
And he'll gish gallop as well. It's not like he's talking about
if you can't behave and listen to your opponent, then I figured this isn't the platform for you. Then so you can just there you go. Okay, I had to remove them. They were being rude. And
I've only ever been in one of his hangouts, and I was actually booted. To be honest, I don't know why I'd stay. They were having some hangout. I don't even know why I was watching it, but they were calling out Fiona. And people were, I don't know if it was live chat, it must have been live chat at the time, because people were saying, look, Fiona can't join. She's been trying to join, but someone in there's got her blocked. So I went in and explained, Fiona's not joining because someone in here's got her blocked. And then it worked out someone had, so they left and came back in a different account or something. Then Fiona could talk. Oh, no, so I rephrased that. Completely a mistake there because she couldn't talk. She could actually get into the hangout, and then Nephi was doing that gish galloping thing, asking her questions. She'd get about 2 words out, and he'd jump down her throat. And I just kept saying, Nephi, let her actually speak, let her answer. And I basically got booted for constantly telling Nephi to shut up and let Fiona speak. And I was saying it politely.
And one of these monologues will go on for roughly 40 minutes, at the end of which he'll complain that nobody will let him speak.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's Nephi in a nutshell.
Yeah. So he just messaged me. So I just messaged him back. Yeah, you're always welcome to my hangout. I actually just sent him the join link. He's not going to join though. I don't even know why I bothered to do that. I don't want to. I mean, right now it isn't a good time for an Nephi thing. I do want to go on. It's Monday in my part of the world, and lunchtime's wrapped up. So I want to get on and do some more work stuff. I don't know. Let me end by reiterating. I do think that when these flags come up, quieter the better. Just object to the flags. Don't make them think, as True Empiricism claims, oh, we're crying about it. Just, you know what? Here's a person who is willing to lie to close down your YouTube channel. Let him lie. Let him do his thing. Just object to the flags. And, you might take a strike once in a while, because when there are people out there like Ronnie who will lie, who are trolls who just want to take down your channel, they'll go ahead, and sometimes YouTube will agree with them and you'll get a strike. Press on as best you can. Don't even make announcements about it. Oh, now I got a strike. Oh, now I got a strike. Because when they get the feedback that they're actually successful, that their lies actually, sometimes it does get through and you do get a thing that expires, then it just gives them the satisfaction. So I kind of want to leave it at that, and say thanks to the people who showed up, and thanks to the audience who sort of listened through my recap, and I hope it gives us something to think about in dealing with with let's see the extinction burst that the true empiricism is now going through, and his utter lack of being an honest person. I think we can just sort of let him go and tell his lies, and the rest of us can go be happy doing something else. So
Sorry, I wasn't
No, it's
singing,
good.
honest.
No, I wanted, yeah.
Sorry,
Sweet Little, yeah, that's
yeah,
it's an okay song. Not really.
I have singing Tourette's.
I know which one you're doing too.
Yeah.
It was Fleetwood Mac, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't even mean to do it, it just happens.
Yeah, the same.
I do it in the middle of supermarkets, and also somebody says something and a song pops out.
Well, you know what? Maybe in the next next
dear.
hangout, you'll break into the bass part for the chain. Doom.
Oh,
That's a good one. All right.
But-
There we go. It's a good one. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have yourselves a good day.